This tofu pad krapao is one of my favorite weeknight meals. It is incredibly delicious, satisfyingly meaty, spicy and filling, and best of all, it comes together in about the time it takes to cook some rice. So that's where I'll begin. I'll wash some jasmine rice. I find that the stickiness of jasmine rice works well within this dish as it isn't particularly saucy. Cooking rice is a piece of cake, 2 parts rice to 3 parts water, boil for 11 minutes, turn it off and let them steam for another 11 minutes. Easy money. While my rice is bubbling away, I'll cut up about half an aubergine into some chunks of roughly this size. I'll also finely chop 1 Thai chili, 2 shallots, and 5 to 6 cloves of garlic. You can, of course, adjust the spice level to your liking by removing some of the seeds. Traditionally, pad krapao is made with ground pork, but crumbled tofu works exceptionally well in this dish. Make sure to use an extra firm tofu. These can vary a lot in texture, so try and find one that is quite pressed and dry. Normally I would crumble the tofu straight into my wok, but for the sake of this video I'm doing it here in front of you. As you can see, it's quite easy to crumble between my hands. Pad means fried and krapao means holy basil. Holy basil can be difficult to find, but the dish works well even with Thai basil or regular basil. Yeah, even without basil, it's still crazy good. However, the fresh herbs really do elevate this dish, so if you have some of that green stuff lying around, then roll some up and give it a rough chop. My rice has now cooked for 11 minutes, so I'll kill the heat and let them steam for another 11. While they're chilling, I'll put my wok on a high heat and add my aubergine chunks with some salt. I prefer to start aubergines in a dry pan to remove some of their moisture before I add any oil. In my opinion, this allows for a more evenly cooked aubergine. I've met a lot of people who say that they don't like aubergine, and I firmly believe that it is because they have been eating it undercooked. When aubergines are cooked well, it's one of the juiciest and meatiest plants we can eat. When they've reduced about 50% in size, I'll add some neutral oil. When cooking veggie versions of meat dishes, it's important not to be shy with the oil. Traditionally, the ground pork would bring some fat that will render into the dish, but as we're using tofu, which contains no fat, we have to add a little ourselves. After about a minute, the aubergines should have taken on some color, and we can add the aforementioned fatless tofu. As we fry the tofu, it will lose some moisture and hopefully pick up some golden brown crispy spots. After 2 minutes, my tofu looks good, and I move it all to one side and add my garlic, onion and chili along with another splash of oil. As I'm working on a relatively high heat, it only needs about a minute to become super fragrant, and I can stir it all together. To sauce it up, I add 2 tablespoons of oyster sauce and 2 tablespoons of soy and fry for another 30 seconds until everything looks nice and glossy. Finally, we can add our basil. It will look like a lot to begin with, but in a matter of seconds it will reduce to almost nothing. And boom, 30 seconds later, our pad krapao is done. I always recommend tasting it with a bit of rice to test for seasoning. It has to be quite salty, and if it isn't, then add some more soy and oyster sauce till it hits the spot. Serve up a big scoop of our stir fry with some rice, and then you have yourself an amazing weeknight dinner that can be fully plant-based if you use a vegan oyster sauce. If you have guests coming over or you want to make a slightly fancier version, then you can pimp the dish with a Thai-style fried egg and a spicy garlic pickle. Fry your egg on a high heat while scooping hot oil onto the white of the egg. Ideally, you want a brown and crispy bottom with a fully cooked egg white and a soft yolk. For the pickle, I finely slice garlic and chili and marinate them in a teaspoon of sugar, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, and 1 tablespoon of soy. This dish is so good and so easy. Most of the ingredients have a very long shelf life, so it's also one of those dishes that I make when I don't really feel like getting groceries. And finally, it's an amazing clean your fridge kind of dish. Whatever old vegetables you have lying around can work in this stir fryer, and you can play around with different ways of spicing it up. I hope you enjoy cooking this dish. Thanks for watching the video, and if you have any feedback, that would be much appreciated. Cheers!